What is the nature of silence? Silence is found when you are simply just watching, observing reality as it is occurring, as it is naturally, spontaneously arising. Silence occurs when you quiet the mind, when you quiet that inner narrator who is continually evaluating and ruminating and worrying and imagining all sorts of different realities in your head. We become so fixated upon the thoughts, that little voice speaking in our head, that we forget to pay attention to everything else that is around us. What is this voice, really, that's speaking? Is it us? If we are the one who is speaking, then who is the one who is hearing? Are we simultaneously the speaker and the hearer? Do we think thoughts or do thoughts think us? What is the purpose of meditation, really? Does there need to be a purpose? What sort of answer are we looking for when we're finding a reason for life? A cosmic show which we are all participants in. Now, whenever I create these riffs, I do not know the next thought that is going to arise in my awareness. My entire process is to still the mind such that a natural rhythm may be discovered, a natural flow of thoughts and ideas. This to me is the creative process. It's a process of emptying oneself so that one may be filled with whatever nature wishes to speak through you. And there's a beauty in relating to nature in this way because there is a deep sense of lightness, a deep sense of musicality. You're just flowing with it. And I notice that whenever I try and force my thoughts out, when I'm speaking in this sort of this fragmented way where my ego is too involved, my ego wishes to deliver a certain message. When I'm speaking in this kind of way, there's a kind of resistance. There is not a sense of ease. There's not a sense of relaxation. And I think this occurs is the reason this occurs is because I become outcome dependent. I want a particular outcome for my creation. And many people, they can unconsciously slip into this, or perhaps consciously, they have this approach to their creations where they want something out of it. They do it for a reason. They want to be received in a particular way. However, if I can, for a moment, simply by stilling the mind and silencing the mind and witnessing it all arise, if I can do that before the act of creation, then what comes out is a deeply natural utterance from the soul. For the health of our consciousness, we need moments of prolonged silence, of prolonged rest. And we're constantly just in this caffeine consciousness of rushing around and always got things to do and constantly overstimulated. There is no opportunity for the mind to return to its natural harmonic of silence. Simply take a moment to convene in nature and watch everything around you, not with the intention of watching. Do not approach mindfulness with an intention. Approach it with a simple recognition of who and what you are. Begin to relate to your consciousness as a stream of patterns, all of it as a dance of patterns, both within you and outside of you. When you see that, you're just there. And you recognize that you're already there. There is nothing that you needed to do to achieve this state. It isn't a status, it's a recognition of an inherent relation between you and the world, and of this apparent duality between you and the world. Now, what is this duality exactly? Why do we feel so convincingly separate to the world? Because perhaps it's because we occupy this body-mind that is seemingly private to just us. Only we can perceive and hear our thoughts, and we cannot hear and perceive the thoughts of other people. And this sense of individuation makes us feel as though we are here. And now I'm trying to understand this tension between duality and non-duality. How do we understand ourselves as simultaneously a character in the game of life and also the entire game of life that is occurring? And, I'm still logically working through it. Because even after experiencing mystical revelations regarding the natural interconnectedness of all life and how it is all animated by a singular or unitary, undifferentiated source of movement, I understand how this singular source has, as part of its movement, created the emergent pattern of the individuation of consciousness into separate beings and organisms. It's kind of like understanding the tension between monotheism and pantheism, or polytheism rather. One God expressing itself as many gods. Now, a mystic would consider God as essentially existence itself, or God is nature and nature is God, which means that we are also God by virtue of being a pattern of nature. And this is what it means to recognize one's divinity. There has been a profound conspiracy, if you want to call it that, against having people recognize their own divinity. This is why psychedelics are illegal. This is why the church has operated as an institution of power for thousands of years in order to create a priest class. These people who stand between you and God. He'd tell you what to believe, what to do, what to think. And we are meant to just shut up and obey and do not question things. If you question things, you are outcasted as a heretic. Freedom of thought is anathema. It's toxic to such institutions who wish to perpetuate themselves through this theatre of ignorance that we call marketing. You know, what is my goal here, really, with all these things that I create? In essence, I feel I'm trying to articulate a inner form of awakening that may be of some kind of service to other people listening, if they can understand, if they can relate to it. I don't feel as though it is all just for me. I feel there is a sincere value in articulating this inner gnosis. I see so much of the world asleep and trapped by one's patterns, trapped by one's habits of thought, trapped by the conditioning force of society itself. You know, it's become clear to me that society, as it currently stands, does not wish for a population of awakened souls. It wishes for a population that is perhaps more akin to a herded animal, a factory-farmed human being. You only have to look into the supermarkets to see what sort of food is provided for such a society, for the masses. It's all nonsense food. Now, our consciousness is very often a product of the food that we consume. Think about it on a chemical basis. The dopamine molecules, the serotonin molecules, and all the various other molecules that comprise your neural circuitry, they require their food from the food that you consume. But our sources of food have become captured by petroleum, all the oils that are put in people's food nowadays, and all the poisons, really. The mass advertisement of fast food, the normalization of such things, and also the sort of the pricing out of normal people from accessing normal, healthy, whole foods. I feel as though part of my conscious direction right now is to articulate the outlines of this matrix system, or this demiurgic system from Gnostic mythology, or Gnostic philosophy rather. You know, the Demiurge is this material universe that was seemingly created by an ignorant god, or an ignorant and egoic god, who has sort of created what are called these archons, or rulers. These archons, or rulers, whose sole objective is to keep human beings in this lower density of consciousness such that they can be better controlled. To keep the human soul from ascending and realizing its innate divinity. Much of society does seem as though it is running on this kind of MK Ultra mental programming to keep people in these set thought patterns, to keep people accepting the status quo, keep people in these, you know, these office cubicles of consciousness. And I suppose my work is to just to point this all out, like Like the child in the Emperor's New Clothes, that story, that parable of pointing out these absurd, widely held beliefs that are rarely questioned, and yet everyone knows there's something strange going on. The children know there's something strange going on, but they're conditioned out of their intuition by the education system into completing these meaningless tasks and being subservient to some authority, and they never get nurtured their innate curiosity for life and their innate self-direction of learning. Because it seems as though society does not really want sovereign individuals. It wants human herd animals. How do we resist becoming one of the herd? How do we maintain our integrity and yet also survive in this world? How do we not just survive but also thrive in such a world? It seems as though money is the principal ruler over all of us. It's what gives us the opportunities to live where we want to live, eat what we want to live, eat what we want to eat, to go where we want to go. It all seems to come down to money. What do we do with that? Who knows? Who knows? I'll leave out that. To be continued. Goodbye.